Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman. A while ago, shortly after I sold my mechanical Dolce Vita, I was kind of obsessed with tank style dress watches. So I had some searches out there and I ended up stumbling upon a very affordable Seiko Quartz tank watch and I decided to buy it. This was the black dial variant. However, the watch I received was the blue dial variant. So I contacted the seller and he was going to send me the correct watch, but never did. So I figured for that price, I'll just buy another one. So I bought another one and received the black dial just like I ordered, and it was brilliant. So I thought to myself, for that price, why not get the white dial as well? So at one point in time, I owned 3 of these things. And you may have seen these watches because they were featured in my 30 watches in 30 days challenge. But when I was looking back through my videos, I didn't see an actual review of these watches. So tonight we're going to do a full review of the black dial watch. And because they're identical, I'd be wasting your time if I did a full review of both watches. So we'll take a look at the white dial in this video as well. So let us begin. Here is the black dial variant of the Seiko Quartz tank watches that I found, and I just did an eBay search for these and none of them came up. But at the time that I purchased this and the white dial, there were a few of them showing up here and there on eBay, and they were all extremely affordable. I'm pretty sure I paid about $25 for this and the white dial. When I received them, I was in shock because these watches are really decent quality. So this is not the strap that the watch came on. I don't even recall exactly what these watches shipped on. I think the white dial variant was on an inexpensive mesh bracelet. But yeah, as soon as they arrived, I swapped straps. These have 20mm lugs, so they're pretty standard, pretty easy to find straps for. And it's actually pretty cool that these aren't 22mm lugs because it's really tough to find dressy straps at that size. I feel like most straps that are beyond 20mm are usually kind of the tough, rugged, manly looking straps. Not really a whole lot of dressy straps at that size. So 20 is great. The lugs are extremely tiny on these watches, so any straps that you get will have to be really thin on the end here, or you are just not going to be able to fit them in there. The case back on these watches are super bare bones. We see Seiko called out there, and a little bit of information below that is way too small to read, so you'd have to either be young or grab a loop to read that, but super bare bones on the back. Looking at the case itself, it's a nice, just polished tank style case there, except look at the sides of the case. That is super cool. And that's not something you really see. I love that Seiko did something fun with the sides there. Now I believe in the past, one of you mentioned that these might actually be Franken watches, even at this low cost and everything. And that's a distinct possibility. I haven't confirmed that, but for this price, when I purchased these, I didn't really care. So these are quartz watches, which is great because the crowns on these watches are itty bitty. But being quartz, you're not going to use them a whole lot at all. There's no date on here, so you won't have to adjust them monthly or bi-monthly. So yeah, let's pop this crown out, see what it's like to use it. Nice solid click when you're pulling it out. It's not wishy-washy at all. It is really small. It's super tough to grip this crown and to turn it. Yeah, thankfully you won't be using it much. We'll pop that back in. And there we go. The crystal on these watches is totally flat. I'm assuming it's either acrylic or mineral. That I'm not entirely certain of. Looking at the dial, shockingly, there are applied indices on these watches, which is crazy for that price. The Seiko Quartz logo looks kind of weird to me, and I always find it strange when quartz is called out, but if these were made in the 80s, I think that would make more sense. Quartz was kind of a newer thing there, and it was the big deal at the time. I love that these are two-handers, so they're very elegant. Those Delphine hands are amazing. For $25, this watch is just pretty crazy. The case doesn't feel cheap. I mean, it's light, but this is a dress watch. But it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a solid case. Yeah, again, for $25, you really can't go wrong. This is a great looking watch. And it's nice and thin as well, so it'll sit really flat on the wrist. As for the specifications on this watch, the case width is 25 millimeters. The case height is 6 millimeters. The lug to lug is 38 millimeters. The lug width is 20 millimeters. The movement is some kind of quartz movement. We hope a Seiko one, but if these are indeed Franken watches, who knows? Yeah, the white dial one looks pretty elegant also. And just like the black dial variant, the markers are applied. Like I said, these are pretty much identical except for the dial color. Both of these watches have pretty amazing texture on the dial. It's really tough to capture it on camera though, at least in video. So I've taken some still shots so that you can really see that texture. I mean, check that out. That is so cool. The black dial and the white dial, and if I remember correctly, the blue as well, all have that texture in the center of the dial. And that is just nuts for a super affordable watch. Crazy. Alright, so let me take off the Dolce Vita. Oh, gorgeous. And let's see what it's like when you're wearing the ultra affordable Seiko Quartz tank style dress watch. And that just looks brilliant. These are really great watches. So glad that I stumbled upon them on eBay. That just looks amazing. Even though the cases are totally flat, they still sit pretty well on the wrist because they're a bit smaller and the thinness is really great. Super cool. So there you have it, a couple super ultra affordable yet brilliant tank style dress watches that hopefully are actually Seiko Quartz watches. Thanks for watching.